It is a new year. You've probably already written down your goals for 2025. It is finally the year where you stop all the endless planning. You stop watching all of the how to start your marketing agency videos on YouTube and actually decide to take action on starting one. I want to give you one quick disclaimer. Oftentimes, the motivation behind why we start a certain venture is incorrect. And once you succeed in it, your why or your purpose changes. Right now, chances are that what you're looking for is money. The money that will help you support your family, gain independence, or prove that you're something to the world or to yourself. For me, the reason why I started my agency was because it was the natural path forward. An agency is technically when you decide to hire someone in your team and give yourself a brand name and operate under that umbrella. I was working a full-time job at Iman Ghazi's company. But to be able to take more clients, I ended up hiring a few employees to edit short-form content. And I called us Total Growth. Fast forward to today, I run Atomik Growth, an end-to-end podcasting agency for some of the largest venture capitalists in the world, making over $40,000 a month. Back then, I guess I was sold the dream of an easy way to make a shitload of money and to travel the world at my own whim. While I must say that some of this is true, this is probably the most difficult thing I have ever done in my life. But at the same time, a lot of this has felt like a video game. At level 1, you're just a child wandering through, figuring out what you want to be. Or in this case, what you want to sell. You're facing challenges, failing miserably, learning from them, and then you fight again to level up. And as you keep fighting to level your stats up, there are a few abilities you gain, namely prospecting, which is finding the clients that you eventually sell to, sales itself, which is the lifeblood of any business, hiring the right people, which I'd argue is as important as sales, marketing. Think of case studies that'll help you eventually sell more. Cash flow management, which is super important to be able to run any business, not just an agency, as well as how you can accept international payments in India, which my DMs are flooded with questions of. And number 6 is technical skills of the service you're offering, or very specific niche knowledge. And that's what the rest of this video is going to be about. But I must mention that now I don't solely run my agency for money. I love the team that I've built and I plan to dominate the info product space with them. Once you achieve financial independence with your agency, you'll know exactly what I mean, and you will start looking into higher forms of leverage. Number 1, your offer or what you're selling. Forget the logo, website, and any branding. And honestly, dude, I do not care what you name your agency, and nor does anyone else. The very first thing you're going to do is figure out what you're going to sell. I've made a detailed guide on 7 agency ideas that you can start today in another YouTube video that you should watch after this one. Regardless, here are a few ideas to get you started right away. Number 1, AI lead generation agencies, especially with AI agents becoming more prominent. Soon, you'll have AI agents cold calling on your behalf, and then the rest of the world is going to want that for their business too. Number 2, AI video generation agencies. I recently got this email, and trust me, it's a trend that's going to be picking up in the coming years. Number 3, staffing agencies. And while this is not a traditional marketing agency, I am yet to see someone do this really well. The very same principles to grow a marketing agency apply to this one. Number 4, obviously, traditional video editing agencies like short form content or long form content, or even podcasts like I do. The what you're selling is not very specific in this, but who you're selling to is. And that is something we'll cover later. For now, just pick one where you think you have an edge, or any technical know-how, or even just an intuition that you think this is the one that's going to work for you. Now, finally, moving on, number 2 comes prospecting and sales. Way too many people stress about how they're going to accept international payments before even having someone ready to pay them. This is probably what you've been waiting for. How do you find the people to sell to? Let's take the example of a traditional oversaturated short-form content agency. You start by trying to sell to the people you are most familiar with. You might even feel compelled to decide you're an agency right now and email me. Hi Subha, I can edit better for you. I'm not here to tell you that this is a bad idea, but it kind of is. It might work because you have deep knowledge of the prospect, so you can spend a lot of time customizing it and personalizing it for them. But what I'd recommend is already trying to own a niche. Here's what you're gonna do. Taking the same example of a video editor. Let's say you pick 3 relatively vertical niches with one thing in mind. You want to sell to people who have money, where the higher end of the market has a lot of money to offer to you. A. Tech bros who post really poorly edited content on their LinkedIn. Top school creators who create content. Finance podcasts from the list of the millions of podcasts on Apple Podcasts. This is almost like A/B testing products if you were dropshipping. You're now going to be shooting your shots with all 3 niches or more, then seeing what's getting you the most responses or sales and niching down into that. Most people actually start like this, and the ones that succeed end up saying, you don't choose your niche chooses you. But in reality, you're the one who can play the game right from the very start. Find the emails or whatever method you think you're going to have an edge at to reach out to them. Phone numbers, physical addresses where you can send them something, or perhaps their assistants. Jot it all down in a sheet. Then for each niche, find out who's aspirational. In tech, it's Elon Musk, Sam Altman. Whereas for school, it might be Hamza or whoever. I don't know too much about school yet. Create samples from their public content. Take Sam Altman's podcast and then create a trailer out of it or your short form piece. For outreach, I would highly recommend the hyper-personalization route, because I don't want you spending hundreds of dollars on automating mass outreach without even having your first sale yet. Email the prospects in your sheet saying that you've created a sample for Altman, and you're implying that you've done it for him, but at the same time, you're not explicitly stating it so that it's morally correct. Integrity over everything. And another tip is to be able to reach out to them on multiple platforms, as that really increases your response rate by a lot. One super important thing at this stage is that you have a lot higher chances to get responses and sales if you're acting as an independent freelancer than an agency. People like working with the one person they're being sold by than being sold to an agency and then having someone else that they've never met actually do the work for them. This is only when your agency is starting out and you have no reputation, which, let's be honest, if you're watching this video, you might be at that stage. Please ensure that you do not use too much AI in your emails, because people can just smell the use of GPT and are instantly turned off. Also, for the love of God, do not make any grammatical mistakes. If you're great on video, then include a loom blink as well. Record a generic loom that you can use for all the prospects you reach out to, but make it feel like it's only for them. Create a sequence of follow-ups and remind yourself to follow up with every prospect every week, maybe 3 or 4 times. Do this 1,000 times and you might end up finding yourself on a sales call. Exciting, no? You might be nervous and you might be scared. You might even feel like an imposter who has no idea what he's doing. That's totally normal. And if you want to see me doing a live sales call, I would highly recommend you to watch this video, and you'll also know exactly what you should be doing. Here are some other pointers you should remember. Small talk for the first 30 seconds minimum. Maybe look at their camera, if they have a really nice setup, or if they have a poster on their wall, comment about it. Number 2, fake your confidence. Fake it till you make it is a very true statement. If asked about your previous experience, do not panic. Be honest and upfront that, hey, you're just getting into this industry, you have some samples in your portfolio, but that's actually an advantage for you, because unlike other agencies or freelancers who have a lot of clients, this is something that actually means something to you. You're going to give them a lot of attention because they're your first few clients, but don't let them know that they're your first client. I could make a 2-hour video on sending emails or sales calls, but for the sake of this video, let's move on to number 3. Hiring. Let's say you've managed to retain the first few clients that you got by staying persistent, delivering quality work, and improving your English speaking. Now, as a freelancer, you might find yourself spending way too much time on fulfillment rather than business development and sales. It's finally time to hire your first employee and transition towards becoming an agency. Your first few hires are to come from your personal network. You probably have a friend who you think it would be a great idea to work with, or someone in your network who you think is smart enough to partner with. I would generally recommend against hiring friends. Acquaintances are fine, but if you guys are too close, it might be a bad idea. because the dynamics between a business partner and those dynamics between a friend are just different. What's ideal is if you could hire a junior freelancer who has, let's say, 1 or 2 clients in whatever service you're offering. If it's AI automation, a junior developer. Pay them well in cash and in equity, because your first few hires as an agency are foundational. Do not shy away from hiring an international team. This is one of the best decisions I've made at my agency, Atomik Growth. I love the diversity, and the different time zones ensure that work is being done across the clock. Here are some hiring platforms I would recommend. ytjobs.co for creator economy hiring, onlinejobs.ph, which is a native job board for hiring from the Philippines, LinkedIn ads for more traditional roles like copywriting, Upwork for technical roles like audio engineering or colorists or even code, Perplexity.ai for finding these job boards for more vertical or technical hires. General philosophies for hiring is to get as many candidates as possible in your funnel, then extensively screen them. Let's say you meet like 15 of them, and then you maybe end up hiring 2 of them to do similar tasks on a longer 2 or 3 week period. Sometimes someone might be talented but just has shit work ethic, and you need to let them go. Moving on to marketing. You don't need much, as your focus as an agency needs to always be on delivering the best possible client experience. And the magic of that is that they end up becoming your marketers. You want your clients to shout your name out to others, or you want to be able to leverage their networks to ask for referrals. The best marketing for you is to convert the client results you've delivered so far into well-designed case studies. And here is where design starts to matter. In the early days, nobody cares about how your websites look. In fact, we got to $20,000 a month with the website that was built in like 4 hours. It was trash, but it got the job done. But when you scale and start selling $10,000 plus retainers, it starts to matter. You need to feel like you deliver an enterprise experience. You need to look expensive, because oftentimes that's the perception you need to build from inception. Now, from my experience, I can tell you that nobody really reads your deck or the copy in your website. When was the last time you went to a website and actually read the entire thing around what was going on? People just skim through stuff. So when you review your own deck, make sure you do the same. Look at it as a highlight reel, something that people should be able to digest with their minds turned off. Because honestly, people have 1,000 things competing for their attention at any given moment. Don't you want to go and look at the comments or look at the suggested videos, or maybe watch some of my other videos right now? Cash flow management is the heart of any business. Without cash, you can't pay your team, or you have to borrow. But luckily, agencies can always invoice their clients before work has started, while freelancers usually do a 50-50, or actually even at the start agree to accepting payment after the entire service is done. If you as a freelancer are doing the latter, ensure that the client is reputable. For both agencies and freelancers, ensure that you enforce SLAs, service level agreements that are legally binding, and ensure that both parties acknowledge to the payment schedule. I've shown the exact SLA template I use in that video. When a prospect negotiates on a discount, always take something away. Do not simply discount without changing anything. Whether it's the cadence of meetings that you guys agree on so that you save some time, or whether it's reduced deliverables, or whether you ask them to include end credits to your freelancing name or your agency. For services where you need input from the client to be able to function, example, you need them to record content on a consistent basis, implement a fixed retainer plus variable cost model. For example, you charge $5,000 retainer flat month over month, even if they do not give you any content, and then the other $5,000 to actually edit the 2 videos you're supposed to. If they give you less than 2, you can always prorate the amount. Example, they give you 1, then you charge them $7,500, but at least you always get the fixed retainer. And now, one of the most commonly asked questions. Subha, how can I accept international payments in India? Dude, this is literally a Google question. I don't know why it's in my DMs. But there's actually something better than Google I've found to be these days. Perplexity. I'm going to be reading out my Perplexity search. There are so many options. I would, however, always recommend asking the prospect if they can initiate an international SWIFT bank transfer. In that, the money will arrive right to your bank account from their bank to yours. I believe that for some of the platforms I'm about to recommend, you do need to register yourself as a legit business in India as a sole proprietorship. And that in itself is very easy to do, dude. Just Google it. There are services that will charge like 5,000 rupees for it and do it for you. Remember, the amount of money you make is directly proportional to your ability to solve problems when they arrive through sheer grit. PayPal being one, but it kinda sucks and it has high fees. Payoneer is very popular and it gives you the option to directly integrate into Fiverr or Upwork if you're into that. Stripe requires you to have a registered business, but is pretty advanced. Mural, which is another emerging startup. Razorpay, which is another Indian-based startup that allows you to accept international payments. It's a bit of a pain in the ass to set up, but once you're done, it's good to go. I have said all of this stuff now, but if I had to boil it down into two simple things, the 80-20, the Pareto principle of how to grow your agency, here's what it would be. A great service or offer. If you aren't the best in the world at what you're selling, keep redefining what you sell until you become the best at what you're selling. B, focusing on the right people to sell to. Because you could do a great service for someone, but they simply can't pay you much or refer you to the right people. Choose the games you play very wisely. To accomplish the great service, you need technical know-how. This is why I highly recommend starting off as a freelancer. Because let's face it, you don't have the team building or leadership skills for people to follow you yet, especially in a domain you know nothing about. So learn what you're selling, whether it's design, code, video editing, or anything. Learn it damn well and redefine your offering until you are the best at it in the world. Put the hours in because there's no substitute to hard work. And be objective about your current skill level, because I get so many editors emailing me that they can edit better than this. And then when I click on their portfolio, I laugh. In this short 15-minute video, you should have learned about the roadmap, about how it is to build your agency. While this is not a handheld blueprint video, that's something that'll take me thousands of hours, and it's only going to be available inside of IIRW to not oversaturate the market with a bunch of people who are killing it at the online agency game, and to be completely honest, also create an ungodly amount of wealth for me and my family. This video still serves as a reference point for you to come back to realize what matters in this agency game. These are the only pillars in growing a remote, service-based agency that thrives. Forget everything. Write your action points after this video and start working, whether it's in the morning or right when this video goes to a black screen.